times. BT, Brad Turner.
Allie, I'm here now.
You are here now. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. You and I will have a great time together.
But
just the two of you?
Well,
forget about
if
me,
Francis decides to speak up, then we can let Francis enjoy this time with us as well.
The only thing better than BT on Zoom is BT in person. Glad you're here, buddy.
Oh,
I've missed you a little bit. I'll give you that much.
Oh, stop it. You a lot.
Maybe a lot.
I have not missed you at all. They're just making me say that. Good to see you, though, as always. Starting off the show, let's get into it with some former and current NBA stars out supporting their WNBA counterparts. LeBron James, Damian Lillard, and Dwayne Wade were seen taking in the Sparks game against the Las Vegas Aces in LA Wednesday night. Lillard and James both showing each other some love during the game. That certainly got the Twitter rumor mill churning. I will say this, I dove right into it. Big deal, no big deal. Laker Twitter loves it. Allie loved it. What do we think, Prez?
All we care about, BT, is if Allie loved it, because that's what makes the world go round, right? I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, it was kind of fun to watch, fun to see. That's what the offseason is about. If you're no longer playing, there's only a few teams left playing, obviously. It's about the rumor mill. Who's going where? Who's in? Who's out? So, of course, when these guys show up to a game and see each other and joke around on the sideline like that, it's going to be news everywhere in the NBA world. What does it mean, BT? Really not much of anything. We're still over a month away from free agency, but it's fun to watch the mill churn a little bit.
BT, don't even act like you don't have insider information, because you and Braun go back and forth in your little post-game Zoom interviews.
All the time.
Talking, sup, Braun. That was really good, wasn't it?
That was good.
What do you know?
But it's about wine, not about Damian Lillard. I mean, let's just get that perfectly clear.
Thanks.
And unlike you and Mike Bresnahan, I was working last night.
Oh, that was nice of you to
I was
work.
writing a story about a team last night. I did see this, though.
You did, yeah.
I had to take a peek. And you know what it meant?
Space Jam is almost out.
Not a doggone thing.
Oh.
Not one single thing at all.
Not why we brought you here.
I've had a few conversations with people around Dame's orbit. And Dame is an interesting young man who still loves being a Portland Trailblazer.
Stop sipping the tea. Will you spill the tea? I mean, get there.
Hey, but the tea is good when it's sipped.
It is.
Is the tea at least percolating? Is it a little warm at least, would you say?
Well, if you want good tea, it has to be warm, Mike.
It should be almost hot.
Do you want lemon in your tea, sugar in your tea, or what do you want in it? Or do you want some of that other stuff in your tea, Allie?
It's tea time.
It is tea time.
It's okay. So you're saying just
enjoy
nothing.
it.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it. And,
Some
hey,
friends hanging out, having a good time. Is Dwayne Wade coming back?
no, I think that ship has
think so.
sailed.
Okay. It was just a question.
To your point, though, bottom line, they were out supporting the W, and that's really what's awesome.
That is
Yeah,
key.
if Dwayne wants to come back, he has to sell his ownership stake in the NBA. So he's not coming back, BT. Yeah.
Well, I know some guys that would buy it.
Okay. You one of those guys?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Do you have some more
Good money,
tea
though.
to spill? Okay, let's get back to real news. LeBron James, that aspect of all of this day 3 years ago, signed with the franchise. Safe to say it's worked out so far?
Was it 3 years ago today?
3 years ago today.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I was working that day. What about you guys? Were you working that day?
I have a feeling we had a show. Yeah. We do work here, BT. Yeah. Just want to let you know.
Was someone outside of LeBron's house that day waiting to get into the house, banging on the door? That guy, Magic Johnson, was waiting there the entire time?
Yeah.
I think that was a pretty easy deal to close, though.
And it's worked out
Well,
so far.
they have one NBA championship. They've been to the playoffs twice. If they stay healthy next season, I'm sure they'll be back in the playoffs, but how far they will go, to me, depends on his best friend, Anthony Davis.
Which we're going to get into that.
Yes, we will.
In a moment.
Okay.
Perez, do you think this has worked out so far?
No, absolutely.
What do you think of this signing?
I mean, how can you say it hasn't, right? I really think they might still be playing if everybody had stayed healthy. Can't take it away from Phoenix. They've had 3 good rounds, but I just go back to AD, healthy LeBron. You're going to go pretty far in almost every season if those guys are in their primes. And by the way, they were still talking about a 36-and-a-half-year-old in his prime. Says a lot about the guy himself. What a great day for the Lakers, for the franchise, and also, why not, for the rest of the NBA 3 years ago today.
When it comes to success, and obviously that's what this franchise is about, you're going to put it on his running mate, Anthony Davis, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But for LeBron, when you think of next season, does the motivation change at all for him?
No, he wants to win championships. He would like to catch Michael Jordan. He's a couple away.
It's about a year and a half away,
right?
If he stays healthy.
But he's also hearing that noise that LeBron James would never win another NBA championship. From some of your friends, Allie.
Not my friends.
Some of Bresnahan's friends are saying that.
Yeah.
That he would never win another. And don't think he hasn't heard that. He understands that. And he knows what's at stake because he is not getting any younger. He's still really good at what he does, sort of like Bresnahan is some of the time. You know what I mean?
That's a strong compliment.
Well,
I appreciate that, PT.
A few
LeBron,
times.
I mean, in the same sentence.
Well, I didn't mention LeBron's name. I just said Bresnahan's okay at times, right? But there's a lot to prove because until you're done playing, the goal is to win NBA championships.
BT, I thought you were talking about the scoring title. So I said, it was about a year and a half away from passing Kareem, not MJ, of course. You were talking championships. And indeed, that's what really matters the most to this guy. Here's the bad news for the rest of the NBA. He has another long offseason coming up. Remember what happened 2 summers ago? Long offseason. They won, 37 games that year? Luke Walton's last year with the franchise as the coach. And I'd say the next season turned out pretty well for LeBron and the Lakers. So,
I think so.
Long offseason here. And I have a feeling he'll come back 100% healthy, 100% ready to go, 100% motivated as well.
I tend to agree, but it isn't just about him. And the Lakers certainly have a lot of decisions to make when it comes to free agency. 7 players set to be unrestricted free agents, including Dennis Schroeder and Alex Caruso. Talen Horton-Tucker is in the restricted free agent category, and Montrezl Harrell's sitting with a player option who could be unrestricted if he opts out. Guys, I want to talk about Dennis Schroeder first. VP of the German Basketball Federation stating that Dennis Schroeder has communicated this clearly. He wants 100 to 120 million. Whereas we've talked about it a lot. So, BT, I'll start with you on this. Is Dennis Schroeder worth that?
Based on what we saw the last couple of playoff games, absolutely not.
You said playoff games?
Playoff games. Okay. Because that's what we saw. There was one game, did he score in the playoff game?
0 for 9.
0 for 9.
Yeah.
That's what Laker fans remember. Now, if he can get it, good for him. Maximize your dollars, like Bresnahan has done here at Spectrum. He's stealing money here from you guys. So Dennis has seen the template from Michael Bresnahan. Get all that you can, but that's a lot to ask for a 6'1" guard who had a pretty good season. He showed signs of being a really good defender. He showed some signs that he could actually penetrate and get in the lane, but asking for, did you say 120?
1 to 120.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there are any teams out there that would be willing to give him that kind of money. Very few have money under the cap to do that anyway. Where you want to go to, I don't know, the Knicks. Is he a 120 player? To me, he hasn't proven to be that.
I'm going to take the lower end of this. I'm going to start with 100. Amortized over a 5-year deal, which is what the Lakers can give him, as opposed to any other team can only give him 4. Now you're talking 20 a year. That's a pretty good contract in my mind. Keep in mind, he just came off a year in which he was making $16 million. So that's pretty equitable. It is a long-term contract, though. That's the only thing. 5 years is a long-term for any player on the Lakers, not named LeBron or Anthony. So, you're definitely... That would get a little high in the years, but I like the dollar amount better. $20 million a year sounds about right to me. I do like what he did during the regular season. We just saw the numbers, 15.5 points, about 6 assists a game. Could have been a little sharper from three-point range, but I love how he really kind of picked up the team when not only LeBron, but Anthony Davis was sidelined by injury.
But my question to that would be, is he looking for a 5-year deal or a 4-year deal at that much money?
Yeah, I mean, 4 years at 120, that's a lot of money.
So my assumption is that he turned down a 4-year deal from the Lakers that was about $80 million, thinking he could get more. And at the way he was playing, there was a chance he could maybe have got up to $100 million. But right now, I just don't think it's a smart, prudent move by the Lakers to give him that much money, especially over 4 years. Over 5, as you said, $20 million sounds better than 25, 30 million a year. That's just not something that they can afford to do.
Look, and I hear what you're saying in terms of putting it all on what he has proven and shown in the playoffs, which, is here or there. But I think there was also a lot of factors that went into that when it came to the health and safety protocols, the position he put himself in. but also the health of the guys around him.
Right.
I think it's a little bit different. But I think when you look at this right here, Dennis really has the upper hand right now, wouldn't you say, when it comes to monetary-wise? But also, what are the other guards that the Lakers could, in fact, go and get, which we have a list. And when you look at them right here versus what you know.
Right.
And what you'd expect to be better from Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah. See, I kind of like Oladipo. The problem here is he makes a lot of money, and he's injury prone. He probably won't even be ready to start the season. I shouldn't say that. He might not be ready to start the season. So maybe you get a little discount on Oladipo. The problem is if the Lakers do not sign Schroeder, they're pretty much reduced to the mid-level. Whether it's the mini mid-level or the full mid-level, it'll be $5.5 million or $9.5 million a year that they can offer one of these guys. Would that be enough to get one of these guys? I like Reggie Jackson's resurgence in the playoffs, BT, but he's had a kind of a quiet few years in the league. What's your take on that list?
Coming off an injury, for me, is Spencer Dinwiddie.
And then the only thing I would say there is he's coming off an injury. So what does he look like?
Yeah. But let's not forget, if you're the Lakers, you can also seek a signing trade with another guard from another team, whoever that might be. Because there are some free agents out there. There's one name that was not on that list, was this little point guard from Toronto.
Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
Whose name came up in trade talks, which the Lakers did not obviously do. He is a free agent. He's looking for a little bit less. He's obviously a little bit older. So, and again, LeBron James is not 25 years old. He's not 26 years old.
And he's not getting younger.
It ain't happening.
It would be hard to get Kyle Lowry with the mini mid-level of about $5.5 million. The NBA has not released these figures yet. They won't come till the end of this month. But, if the Lakers can't get Schroeder, maybe they turn their attention with a $9.5 million towards a guy like Kyle Lowry.
Starting the show talking about the rumor mill. Isn't it funny that
This season, though, kind of fell back into the injury category. Nothing minor. I mean, I should say, nothing major, so that's good. But he definitely wants to get back on the court a lot next season.
Absolutely. After the break, we'll show you how.
They have to make some moves, though, because the West is so much better now. We're seeing it already with Phoenix and the Clippers, and we haven't even talked about Utah and Denver when Jamal Murray gets back. And so, and then the big three out here back east. And so we have to get better, and they got to get some shooters to surround AD and LeBron with, because Danny Green, that move hurt us. Rondo, that move hurt us, because those guys brought something that we don't have anymore, right? Danny Green could shoot from the three-point line. Rondo with his basketball IQ and also be able to create shots for his teammates. Dwight Howard closing down the middle. So we miss those guys. So Rob Pelinka just got to bring some shooters, help AD, help LeBron, space the court, and I think the Lakers will be fine.
One of the big question marks about Anthony Davis, or about the Lakers in general, is Anthony Davis and his inability to stay healthy. No one questions his brilliance as a player. When healthy, he's an MVP caliber player. But how do you handle him during a season in which, I mean, we hate the words load management on this show, and everyone hates them, but the reality is you need him to be healthy at the end of the year, and it doesn't always happen. How do you handle it?
Well, Greeny, you're right. First, he got to change what he's been doing over the summer. And I think he's got to get somebody to stretch him. He also probably got to work with a physical therapist to make sure all the injuries that he had this past season, he's over those injuries, and it can help him during the season next season, right? And then for the Lakers, I would say yes, not load management as much, but make sure you watch how many minutes you're playing, watch back-to-back games, because he is injury prone. Before he got to the Lakers, he used to get injuries with the Pelicans. So we know that. The main thing for the Lakers is we just can't depend on those two guys anymore. We need a third scorer. We need somebody who can get us 15 to 18 points every single game. And that's where Rob Pelinka's got to make a deal, or he's got to draft somebody who can do that.
So who is that? What is that move? If you're making that move, what is the one move that could put LeBron back over the top?
Well, what I'm understanding right now, because I haven't talked to Rob or Jeannie about this, I know Kyle Kuzma, who played great before those guys got there, he needs to be a second scorer on a team, right? And I think he can actually do that.
Can I just interject? Someone has just entered the room. This is about to be fascinating. The great Stephen A. Smith has just made his way.
Look at him strolling, too.
Stephen A. is here. He doesn't have a microphone on, I'm being told. But you know what? With Steve, you can hear him anyway. So it doesn't.
I lean on magic. I'm leaning on magic.
So I told him, you said the Lakers championship window is closed. He doesn't believe it.
Well, listen, it's very rare that I disagree. Here we go. Thank you so much. It's very rare that I disagree because, after all, this is magic that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's presently constructed. This team, their championship window, they did something Magic and the Lakers never did. They won the championship. They were feeling themselves. They were walking around as champions. I'm not talking about LeBron because we know he takes care of himself physically. But there's a lot of dudes out there that didn't commit themselves to defending the crown they had earned. And as a result, you got all of these teams on a come up. They are what they are. As presently constructed, their window is closed. Now, if they go out and get somebody like Dame Dollar or Damian Lillard or something, that would be different.
Is that on the list of options?
I don't think so. Yeah. It'd be nice, but I don't know if they could do it.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think it's tough to pull off that trade because you need assets to do that. I think there's players out there that can help the Lakers. Rob's just got to find out who that guy is. But Laker fans, we gave them a pass, right? We said, hey, they won the championship last year. We gave them a pass this season. But after that, no passes. They got to come through. They got to play well. But he was right. Sometimes when you win a championship, you don't work as hard over the summer. You don't look to improve. You don't look to get better. And I think that happened to the Lakers. But I think losing in the first round, losing to the Suns the way they did, they're going to come back and be ready.
Especially in cities like L.A., there are very many distractions. And so as a result of that, you have to maintain focus. And it's easy to be distracted, and that happens. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. So Stephen A. is just getting warmed up because they're going across the hall to do First Take in a minute. But let me ask you the question, because Magic Johnson is not willing to say that right now Kevin Durant is the best player in the world. He says that is still LeBron's crown to hang on to. I don't want to misquote you, right? That's what you just said. Right. Who's the best player in the world?
I think it's KD. I think Kevin Durant. But here's what I will say. Magic Johnson, and it's not just because of his resume, the style of player that he was in terms of literally predicating his success, not just on what he was capable of doing, but what he peeled from people around him. That's why Magic would say that about LeBron. Makes perfect sense. I'm a scorer. I'm about putting the ball in the hole, okay? And when I look at KD, who averaged the same amount of points as LeBron throughout his career, 27 points per game, all right, around the same rebounds, considering the shooting percentage from the perimeter, LeBron is a career 73% free throw shooter. Over the last 3 years, he has shot less than 70% from the free throw line. Kevin Durant is 85 plus. The brother is a marksman extraordinaire. And when I look at it from that perspective, I just think offensively there are levels to this, and LeBron ain't on that level. It's no knock against LeBron. It speaks to the level of eliteness that Kevin Durant has. He's one player that could possibly catch Kareem.
But I said that, though, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Nobody's going to be Kevin Durant at that scoring. But LeBron getting everybody involved, making his teammates better. But the good thing is it's always next season, and we're going to see, because who's going to win the championship is going to now say, okay, that's the guy now, right? If Kevin Durant leads Brooklyn, then it's his league from here on out. If LeBron leads the Lakers, then he's going to still be the man. So we got to look and see what happens.
You talk about getting up in the morning. Not only do you have Magic, but you got Magic with Stephen A. Lord.
I'll see you in a minute.
Stephen A. across the hall. Magic is on his way there again. He does KJZ today over here and then doing First Take right off the top of their show. Thank you, Stephen A. And thank you. One more thing, as I have to let you go. So, and then there were 4, and none of them have KD, and none of them have LeBron. You've got Phoenix. You've got the Clippers. You've got Milwaukee and Atlanta. It took me a second to put it all together in my head. Who's going to win?
I want Chris Paul and the Suns to win.